Welcome back to the grind for another Abyss guide with the Mutant Domination Challenge, taking my mutant team into the Abyss on Path 5. So we are going up against Massacre, or Masacre, however you would like to say it. Now, originally, Stryfe was the one that was recommended to me, and so I took him in first to give it a go. And I actually am most excited about this video because of how well Apocalypse worked for it. And we're going to get into that, but let's explain the fight. Masacre is going to have an indestructible buff unless he is blocking. So you can see every hit we're doing is doing no damage, but he's gaining those armor shatter type charges, and that's going to increase the amount of block damage he takes. So as you can see, we're doing damage into his block, and the passive damage from that shock started to do damage while he was holding block. So he only takes damage while he is holding his block, and that's from all sources. So you can actually get damage from a special 3 while he is holding block. And that's something we're going to highlight with our Apocalypse fight. So right now, what you want to primarily do is use up your hits, stacking up those charges so that then you can transition to doing damage into the block. Because right now, the damage into the block is not very good. But you also have to remember the fight me, I dare you, or whatever that timer is. You have to hit him, not to the block, but actually hit him once in a while to make sure that you're not losing your charges faster. And the problem with this fight is you end up using about half your charges just ramping up the ability to do damage into the block. And here I tried throwing a special 2 into the block to get some nice damage, and it does work, but because you end up very close to him, he can counter you, and that's not something that you want to happen. You also ideally want to use your hits early on to get at least over 70, in my opinion, 60 to 70 charges, and then you can start intermittently doing attacks into the block, and then when you need to, attack into him to keep your spacing and to push him back and turn off the fight me I dare you timer. And then it caps out at 99. And then you want to primarily focus on just hitting his block as much as possible and use the remainder of your charges to get damage from the block. So I use the special 2 just to get a bunch of hits on him to keep ramping up that stack count. And now we're going to focus as much as we can on hitting block while still maintaining spacing and everything else. Sometimes it can be challenging to make him block so you can hit into his block, but I'm going to show you an easy trick to make that happen shortly here. So now you can see we're pretty much fully ramped up, and Stryfe's doing some decent damage into the block. We're getting, see there we had a trouble getting the block, and then he throws a heavy attack. There are certain situations, look like this, he's just spamming heavy attacks. I do one hit and back off, he just spams another heavy attack. So it's like, what is going on? It was really frustrating at times to make him block. And then when we do get him back off, and then we're doing 17,000, 11,000, so it's decent, but it'll take a long time because now we only have 100 hits left. And a lot of those hits are going to be going into him to keep our spacing and stuff. So it can be challenging to handle this fight. But an essential tip that you need to know to help control the AI and make him block is to whiff a light attack. You see he held block there? He got defensive. The one thing with Apocalypse is he can trigger stun through block, which means he won't be blocking anymore. So you'll have to back off and do it again, but you can whiff a light attack, and we're going to slow it down to watch it slowly. But if you back off, I wait for him, he doesn't run at me, so I whiff a light attack, and then he holds block. He gets turtles up, and that is an essential trick to make him block to really help you control the fight. So now we're going to get into the exciting part. Look at that passive damage ticking while he's holding block, and the special 1 has such a long animation. We're getting so many ticks of damage from that, and because it creates so much space, we're not at risk of him countering into us. We can just put our block up or dex if needed. So Apocalypse does so good for this fight because of that passive damage being scaled up so high with that block penetration, and then being able to land so many hits with the special attack into the block as well. Again, we're trying to get him to hold block, and I wasn't using the AI manipulation techniques initially, and so that's why I'm struggling a little bit at times. There we triggered the stun into the block. He throws a special 1. Now we got to get him to block again, and then when he does, we're going to attack in, but now our stun timer is back up again, so we have to stun him into the block again. And so this is why controlling the AI is so important, to make sure that you can get your attacks into the block as quick as possible while your stun timer is on cooldown. And I went back and counted up the amount of damage from that one combo into the block plus the special one. With all the passive damage ticking and the block damage, it was well over 200,000 damage from that one special one into the block. And now we actually went to special 2, and the special 2 animation, you end up close to the opponent, so you don't want to throw that one into the block. But look at how exciting the special 3 is going to be. Because you get the damage while the opponent is blocking, as soon as we get him to block, we can land a special 3 and it'll deal damage. So I'm trying to get him to hold block, and I'm not using the right techniques yet, unfortunately. So we are having a bit of trouble, but I'm going to go in and I'm going to trigger the stun, and then I'm going to back off, and then we're going to attack into the block again. Look at all the red numbers and all the white numbers that are going up from the blocked damage. And now we're throwing off a special 3 while he was holding block, and then watch closely. We're going to see some impressive damage. I think it's still better to do the special 1s into the block if you can make it work, but this is a very nice burst of damage. We're hitting the damage cap not only with the special 3 damage, but also the burst damage from it. And then, of course, like a scrub, I took a massive hit into the block. And now to finish off the video, I wanted to show the special 1 again. Look at all the red ticks going up. Look at all the white block damage, and then he held block, so we could go in for some more damage into the block. And then in just a short period of time, we did over 5% of his health. So I hope that this video was helpful for your run if you're going in with the Mutant Domination or just taking path 5 and bringing Apocalypse along. This might be a good option for you to use. I hope it helped. Good luck, and I hope to see you in the next video.